Much of New Hollywood was an attempt by major American filmmakers to synthesize the work of trailblazing earlier movements in film into something bordering on commercial. From Bonnie and Clyde being originally conceived as a Godard film, to Brian De Palma's new brand of Hitchcockian suspense for the 70s, the period saw many experiments that boiled down to a question of whether particular directors' styles constitute a genre in themselves or not. Nestled between Annie Hall and Manhattan, Woody Allen made Interiors, which consciously provoked the question, do American audiences consider Ingmar Bergman a one-man movie category that they would want to see someone imitate? The answer from audiences was a fairly resounding no, but critically the film was a success, garnering multiple Oscar nominations, and subconsciously seeding Allen's penchant for tragedy into the collective consciousness. This unrelentingly bleak project has an aura of the costume drama to it, as all of the actors exist behind their rigidly designed hairstyles and archetypal tics. Allen is in costume here too. He wears the deathly cloak of the Seventh Seal and keeps his influences on his sleeves. But if it is a costume for Woody, rather than masking himself, this ersatz Bergman-esque might find him at his most revealing. Geraldine Page towers and cuts an indelible image in her long gray coats as the doomed matriarch. Diane Keaton, unrecognizable from Annie Hall, seems 10 years older and 1,000 cigarettes deeper into her role as Renata, the morbid poet. But of course, the impetus for this episode is the death of Mary Beth Hurt, who plays Joey in one of the most perfectly designed characters ever. From her hair to her glasses to her voice, she exudes the ultimate middle child angst, never striking a false note, as nobody does, no matter how put on the whole affair may be.
Welcome to Kale Your Idols, a new Hollywood podcast with your hosts,
Sam Ludwig
and Elena Gibson. This is a podcast about film. Primarily, we discuss movies, directors, actors, and writers known for their work during the new Hollywood era of studio filmmaking that began in 1967 with Bonnie and Clyde and The Graduate, and pretty much ended in the early 80s with One from the Heart and Heaven's Gate. In this episode, we are discussing Woody Allen's movie Interiors, as we celebrate the life of Mary Beth Hurt, an actress who I must admit I knew very little about before doing this episode.
Okay, Elena, it's time to get serious. We're serious podcasters here.
No laughing allowed.
Not a single joke. Although we're poking a little fun at this movie's self-seriousness. But do you think this movie truly is completely devoid of humor?
Yes. Yes. And so you're saying this to indicate that you don't think it's devoid of humor. You see humor in the oddest places, I have to say. So tell me, where in this movie do you see humor?
Forgive me for thinking that Woody Allen has a hard time completely shedding his humorous dialogue pithiness nature.
Fair.
There is something comical in these characters. They're all pretty one-dimensional. Eve, Geraldine Page, the mother, I do think it becomes a little bit silly how overtaken she is by her own depression, how you know exactly what reactions coming from her all the time, but she still manages to top it in self-concern and overbearingness. I also think Pearl is kind of a funny character. They're all just so clearly defined that the way they interact, it's not funny, but it's written in jokes a little bit.
I don't see that in the humor, the joke aspect. I do fully see that they're all one-dimensional in a way. It's like, to me, there's different things that this movie is exploring, but one thing it explores is the artist and their relationship to art and their search for the creation of art. And I think that a lot of them represent all the different facets of how the person can or cannot interact with art. So the fact that they're all like fractures of a person's experience, they're all like the perfect representation of one aspect of the artist's experience, does make them more one-dimensional because they're not really representing a full, complete person necessarily. They're representing different viewpoints on a theme.
And this, I would say, we're going to talk a lot about Bergman in this episode, but that aspect is rather Chekhovian, which is the other influence that this movie clearly has.
Who do you prefer, Bergman or Chekhov?
Wow. I wasn't even thinking if that question was going to get asked, and I'm finding it difficult to say. I guess Bergman, obviously. Bergman has such a deep oeuvre, whereas Chekhov, he goes the other way, and it's always fun when you got those people who have just like 6 masterpieces and that's it, or whatever. Bergman's got 50 movies, and they're all pretty great.
Yeah, I think when I watch a Chekhov play...
You don't like Chekhov.
I shouldn't say I don't like Chekhov, but if I read or watch a Chekhov play, it doesn't hit me that hard, and it doesn't stick with me. Mm-hmm. Whereas the exact opposite is true with Ingmar Bergman. I identify as somebody who, in my development as a film lover, art house foreign film is what really made me fall in love with movies, and I often point to the French New Wave, but Bergman is also obviously one of those huge people in the art house foreign movement who really shaped me as a film lover. So he is a really important filmmaker to me, and therefore the Chekhov versus Bergman thing is no question at all.
How did you discover Bergman? Because we know how you discovered film was in a German class.
It was like a combination of taking film classes in college, like German film classes and Italian film classes, while at the same time, this person I kind of knew who loved film gave me a list of 10 movies to watch.
What were they again?
I don't remember what all of them were, but Pure Le Fou was one of them. Uh-huh. Old Boy was another one. Mm. It's possible Persona was on that list. Mm-hmm. Or I may have watched Persona because I started diving into best directors of all time, like best foreign directors of all time. And, Bergman's going to be one of the top people in all those lists. So I think either I encountered him through that initial list that person gave me as an intro to film, or I just started Googling.
I'm sure that I encountered Bergman through Woody Allen.
Really? So you encountered Woody Allen's take on Bergman first?
Absolutely. And I'm sure that I saw this movie before I saw any Bergman films. I mean, there was also the whole A Little Night Music of it all, which is a Sondheim musical that's based on an early Bergman film, and I was aware of that.
You're a huge Sondheim fan.
Huge Sondheim fan. And I may have seen clips of that on TV in a similar way as I saw Interiors, which I'll get into later. But I'm trying to remember, I feel like even though the first time I saw Interiors, I probably like read something about this that explained it to me, but I knew that I was watching a Bergman-esque thing. Even
though you hadn't seen any Bergman yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I probably hadn't encountered Chekhov yet. This is so weird. I'm trying to think of the order of stuff, because I remember distinctly, like, this movie Interiors was weirdly important to my group of friends in high school.
Really? Not just you? It was friends? Why?
No, it was a thing where I saw it late at night, and I was deep into my Woody Allen appreciation, so it's like I click on, I can't remember if it was AMC or TCM, but I'm scrolling through the channels, and I'm trying to explain cable now to our podcast listener, but it's like, they would say this movie is on this channel, and they would have the director usually written right after it. And so it's like Interiors, Woody Allen. I'm like, what the fuck? I've never heard of this movie. So I click on it. It's right at the beginning, and what unfolds is these extremely long takes, super serious drama. You got young Sam Waterston there. It's all like I've never seen these actors before. I have no idea what's going on, and I was so completely entranced by it. It overtook me in a way that was very emotional and very profound, that I immediately showed my boy friends. And
your friends who are boys.
My friends who are boys, and they all were just like, whoa. I rented Interiors from Blockbuster, never returned it. I kept the DVD of Interior. I think this was in the no more late fees period of Blockbuster. And we all became obsessed with it. We all watched it multiple times. It was like we would get high and watch Interiors. My friend Kai, in a somewhat passive-aggressive move, bought a copy of Interiors for his mom for a Christmas gift.
Have you ever watched this movie with your mom? Because I was
Maybe.
wondering if you felt...
Probably, yeah.
It's not that I think the mother character, Eve, I don't think she's like your mom at all.
No.
But the relationship between Joey and Eve sometimes reminded me of the relationship of you and your mom, where you have spent quite a lot of time together, but sometimes you can bug each other.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Walking into the Sea is like the least likely thing my mom would ever do.
No, I know. I don't
Like my mom is incredibly not depressed.
I don't think that Eve is like your mom at all.
No, right. But you're right. I mean, obviously that's the thing. It's like, did me and my friends all have mommy issues? Like, clearly, to some degree. I mean, I guess I know I do.
There obviously are a lot of women in this. It's three sisters. And there's a part where all three are looking out the window in a way that calls to mind Persona. And that's at the end of the movie. In the very beginning of the movie is Mary Beth Hurt. She's on the right side of the screen looking left out of a window, and then cuts to Diane Keaton on the left side of the screen looking right out of the window. And that's obviously also a Bergman Persona shot. So definitely this whole idea of like, there's all these women, but are they interchangeable? Are they the same person? I'm not trying to say I don't like these female characters.
Sure.
But it also reminds me of Three Women, the Altman movie that we've talked about.
Three Sisters, the Chekhov play.
That too.
And so look, let's be real though too. There's three sisters.
But only
there's
two,
really two
really.
sisters.
Yeah.
There's two very defined characters and a third sister who is around sometimes.
She's a hot, aspiring actress, and that's kind of all you know about her.
Yeah. And then there's two mothers, two mother figures, a father figure, and some boyfriends.
Yes.
Do you want to just, we can get into the plot, but do you want to kind of just talk about who they all are? Like, what the character archetypes are?
Yeah. Okay, so you've got Eve, the mother, played by Geraldine Page.
In a fucking amazing performance.
She makes these faces.
Yeah.
They're long shots, and she's making these crazy faces, but they're not over the top necessarily. Like, I think they're faces you would normally think of as over the top, perhaps. But I don't know. It's just that the camera is really zooming in on it and allowing you to pay so much attention to the changes of her expression.
There's a Jenna Rollins in Woman Under the Influence aspect, maybe, who, of course, then later Alan worked with in Another Woman in a similar vein to this. But yeah, so there's a certain kind of crazy older woman in the air in the 70s that this is drafting off of.
Right, because she has some sort of mental incapacitation. You're not sure what. Like, I forget how they describe it in the movie, but
she showed signs of strain.
And then she went to get shock therapy.
Yeah, she had shock therapy.
And then she was never the same since. So it is a little unfortunate that it's, she's just kind of crazy. Female hysteria, craziness.
Yeah,
but it's
she's
not
obsessed with being married to a man.
I don't know if her illness is a real thing.
Yeah.
No,
sure.
It maybe is one of those unfortunate, incorrect stereotypes of crazy women.
It's not the most careful and nuanced portrait of mental illness. She is shown to be crazy in a sort of wrong way. Because what's interesting about this movie is this is a divorce movie. It's about older people getting divorced. And it's like she just can't get over this divorce.
Right.
And she fucking kills herself. The whole movie, she's trying to kill herself.
And then she does.
Because she got divorced.
Yeah.
And
because he married somebody new.
Yeah, but she was trying to kill herself before she finds out about that.
I know, but that was
the
night
ultimately
that he got married.
Or
she showed up at the wedding and killed herself.
Yeah, but she also had a talking to with her daughter that might have pushed her over the edge too.
Well, yeah, I guess those both could contribute.
I mean, she's obsessed with this divorce. She's kind of blowing up this thing a little out of proportion.
Well, she doesn't have that much in her life.
No, but that's not true, though. She's like a professional, successful artist.
I got the sense that she used to be a very professional, successful artist. She is still working, but it maybe is a little bit her grasping at straws that maybe she's not really getting the kind of work she really wants. She's keeping herself busy just to have her mind on something. But I got the sense that she wasn't necessarily in the same standing as an artist as she used to be. I
mean, it could also be just art movements changing because she's clearly very minimalist.
Yeah, so she's an interior designer.
Right. Hence the title.
Yes.
I talked about in the last episode about how Woody Allen usually does a good job of picking cool professions to help characterize his characters. Mm-hmm. And this is another great one of that, I would say.
Yeah, everybody's got such glamorous jobs in this.
Yeah, but specific too. And like everything kind of flows from the job.
Yeah, you're an interior designer or a poet or exploring photography or you're writing novels or
Political theorist or something, political documentarian, whatever Sam Waterston is.
Joey's husband.
Yeah. I think he's like making documentaries about.
Or boyfriend, I think.
It's unclear.
I think boyfriend specifically. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they've all got these jobs you think of if you're a child and you're thinking of a career to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Eve, the mother, it's explained throughout the film that she kind of dictated the whole family's aesthetic and mental attitude. There's a father too, but it sounds like he wasn't the one who instilled the deep sense of art in the children. He's a corporate lawyer guy. He's the one who supplies the money that funds their interests.
Even though the mother originally had the money that put him through law school and created his whole career. So he felt obligated to her until he was able to get out from under it when he's older.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing that the mother, Eve, is supposed to be such an influential character on the whole family around her, and yet nobody really seems to take her opinion seriously throughout the course of the film. And maybe it's just because she's now different than she used to be, or maybe the performance wasn't quite tuned to that aspect of the character.
Oh, really? You think maybe?
I think Geraldine Page is great in it, but I don't think she is playing it in a way that her children would take her sensibilities so close to their own heart.
Well, she's just so sad.
Right.
That becomes so overwhelming. It's the kind of thing where you can't be around somebody because everything becomes all about them and their problems. And there's no amount of you acknowledging how real their problems are. You're never acknowledging it enough.
Yeah, I feel like she plays up the sad, pathetic aspect of the mother figure, but there is this cold, exacting aspect to the way her character is written and the character design and interior design of the apartments that isn't reflected in the performance.
And she's a jerk, too. She's pathetic, but also whenever she has a moment where she feels okay, she says something dickish about some random person.
Right. I just could imagine this role being played in a totally different way by
Interesting.
A different actress who's more playing it cold and aloof.
Yeah, right.
And not as pathetic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't like that.
No.
character.
Yeah.
It's just there is an aspect about the way her character is designed that doesn't quite come through in the performance.
They talk about her power in a way that is maybe a little off screen.
Right. But I do think that Geraldine Page is great in this.
Oscar nominated?
For this role.
Mm-hmm.
She's an extremely decorated actress. Almost got a Triple Crown.
Maureen Stapleton got the Triple Crown.
Yeah. So
do you think they were like competitive?
A little bit of competitive. Did she already have the Triple Crown at that point?
No, she got her Oscar for playing Emma Goldman a couple of years later in Reds.
Geraldine Page got her Oscar in 1985 for
Trip to Bountiful.
Yeah.
I think this movie was probably big for both of them.
Yeah, I could see that.
This movie has a lot of stage and TV actors.
Right, and a lot of them studied at the Actors Studio. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them are these well-regarded, serious actor types, which obviously matches what Woody Allen's going for with the serious tone. So that's Eve, the mother. Then you've got Renata. Is she the oldest? Yeah, she's
the eldest.
Played by Diane Keaton, who looks so much older in this movie than she does in Annie Hall, even though it's only, 1 year later?
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
Look, I know this is a Mary Beth Hurt episode, but we got to take a second to talk about Keaton here.
It's such a good performance.
She's incredible. And it's like not even a great character in a way. It's a little one note, but Keaton, you're just so impressed with how different she is.
Annie Hall, obviously, that was her memorial episode that we did, and we love her in that. Annie Hall, it's like she exudes her Diane Keaton-ness. Mm-hmm. A lot of the lovable aspects about Diane Keaton as a personality come through in Annie Hall, but in her role as Renata in Interiors, it's unrecognizable.
And she's exuding the reality of her own towering brilliance.
That's true.
Like, she is this ultimate sophisticate, as well as being a friendly, down-home good hang.
Because Renata is a poet who already has success. She's well respected, and she's not like her mother, who's perhaps over the edge, respected but losing her standing. It's like she's firmly in the successful category, but she is struggling. What is she really struggling for?
She's obsessed with death and like the meaninglessness of her work.
Oh, right. Okay, so I thought this was funny that in Annie Hall, Alvy is trying to get Annie Hall to be interested in the concept of death and buys a book for her about it. And it's like, now he wrote her a character where she's become that character who's obsessed with death and is very depressed and is worried that she's going to turn into her mother. She's worried about the threat of mental illness. And there were times where, like, kind of towards the end when she's looking out over the ocean, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, Renata is going to walk into that ocean and drown herself.
Wow.
I didn't know I didn't know what the ending of the movie was, but I thought that was going to be the ending.
Interesting.
I felt the threat of suicide and death over the whole film, and Renata was the one that I was actually worried about because they'd already explicitly mentioned Eve. You
thought it was going to be a bait and switch.
Exactly.
That would have been good. That would have been a good end. I mean, I love the ending of this movie is pretty great.
Yeah.
The whole thing with this movie, it's a little neat.
Yes.
It's all very tied up, but at the same time, I do think it's pretty satisfying.
I agree with that.
There's tons of quibbles about how the drama plays out. Woody Allen calls this movie not successful. He said it was a great idea. In the hands of a serious dramatist, it would have been good, but I wasn't there yet. And that's kind of the question with this movie. Is he trying to aim for something that he can't quite reach? Or is he effectively imitating Bergman, but it's like just an imitation?
Right.
Is it theatrical in a way that makes it kind of lightweight? It's a combination of like a well-made play with an O'Neill play. Do you want to keep going with the characters?
Sure. Then you've got Joey, played by Mary Beth Hurt. I like how different she is than Renata's character. Renata's character is depressed, successful, confident, and distances herself from her mother and from Joey. She puts up really clear boundaries.
Even though her mother is obsessed with her, Renata.
Right.
Yeah.
The boundaries are healthy in a sense, but also probably holds everybody too far away. Whereas Joey is angry and irritable and insists on spending so much time with her mother, despite the fact that they bicker the whole time and they don't really get along. And she's probably searching for approval, but also feels a sense of responsibility to take care of her mother since her mother is lonely and suffering from some undefined mental illness that is probably a bad stereotype about women. And she has this artistic sensibility, but no method of expressing it. She's constantly searching for a way to find what she's good at. She knows art. Like, she can recognize what is and isn't art. She wants to find a way that she can be good at art, but recognizes she hasn't found it yet. And I do identify with that aspect. Like, I feel like I have artistic sensibilities, but I myself am not an artist. I, unlike her, don't feel this need to find art that I'm good at. I'm fine with just being a curator through podcasting, for example. I don't feel that I need to be an artist the way she does, but she's probably the one who's most influenced by her mother. Yeah,
well, and I think Joey's kind of like, and I'm not just saying this because we're doing a Mary Beth Hurt episode, but she's kind of like the key character to the movie. I think that's a pretty original creation, Joey. This person who thinks of them, who feels an artistic sensibility, but is impotently unable to make anything that anybody likes. Like, I don't know of another character like that.
Thinking of Frances Ha, but she's a little too comfortable saying like, "Oh, I like doing this thing I'm bad at."
Well, no, actually, that's a great comp and a movie that's quite influenced by Woody Allen. But when I rewatched that movie, I was struck by how much the ending wasn't like I remembered, and she kind of is getting artistically fulfilled, which is also true of Joey, you suppose, at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I remember in Frances Ha, she felt artistically fulfilled.
She like starts choreographing.
Yeah.
A dance, and I was like, oh, I thought that the whole point of this movie was learn to settle and not have your own little creative touches here and there. But I was wrong. It had a happier ending than I remember. Anyways, as this movie does with Joey.
It's weird with Joey, you saying that you think she's a really original character creation, but I actually think she's very real. And she's very reflective of real life.
Yeah, it's how we all feel it. Real artists feel like Joey.
Right,
all
exactly.
the time. Like, it's like she is a step that you go to on your journey to figuring it out.
Yeah.
Renata is another step that you are, where once you have figured it out, you realize it doesn't explain everything about the world, and you still might want to die or worry about the exact same things that you worried about before.
Yeah, and that's not even specific to artists. It's, you know, if you're reaching for anything and then you achieve it, and then you're like, I thought that alone would make me happier, but everywhere you go, there you are. It's all about what your personality is and your relationships with people along the way that dictate your mood. So.
Yeah, I guess the happiest characters in this are like the dad and Pearl.
And Flynn, I think.
Flynn seems fairly unaffected by stuff.
Yeah, I think she's enjoying being like a hot actress and stuff. So yeah, I specifically wrote down that the characters who are the coded as the least intellectual and the least involved in art are the ones who are the happiest. And I noted Flynn, the dad, and Pearl as those three characters. Whereas the more intellectually striving and artistically minded characters are plagued by unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Yeah. Which probably reflects Woody Allen's thoughts on it and how it's something that comes through in his other movies as well. The intellectual, artistic side being a downer and kind of sometimes wanting to put yourself in the presence of less intellectual, less artistically minded people just because they're a better hang.
I mean, this is Manhattan.
Yeah, I think it's in Annie Hall too.
Yeah. Joey, is this the first time we get one of these Woody Allen stand-in characters?
Well, this is the first movie that Woody Allen wasn't in.
I don't know if that's true.
I think...
Was he not in Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex?
No, he's in that movie.
I guess he is in that, yeah.
I remember him... He's the one who like ejaculates and then you get the
sperm. Of course, right. Yeah. Yeah, he's in that.
He maybe acted in a movie that he didn't write.
Oh, you know, he was in the front and...
Oh, no, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is the first time where he directed a movie and wrote a movie that he did not star in.
Yeah, and so Joey has this like very particular character design where she's got this really specific, severe haircut that looks sort of impenetrable, like a helmet.
Yeah.
And she wears glasses.
She looks constipated.
Yeah.
We watched World According to Garp, which also has Mary Beth Hurt in it. And that movie came out after this.
Yes. 4 years after.
Yeah. She looks so much younger in World According to Garp. And I think that's because of her character design in this. Similar to Diane Keaton's character, they age her up so much just through the clothing and the hair.
And they clearly do makeup to make Diane Keaton's like cigarette wrinkles around her mouth more pronounced.
Right.
Because she's smoking constantly. But maybe she was just like also smoking constantly and the wrinkles were actually coming out.
Maybe they just didn't cover up wrinkles.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, Joey's character design is very specific. And I have this problem with Mary Beth Hurt where I don't have a clear picture of who she is.
Right. She disappears.
She disappears in the roles, yeah. And she definitely does that in this one. And that speaks to her acting ability that she can do that. It makes her a little less sticky in your head, though.
Yeah, I mean, even though World According to Garp and Interiors are not the most dissimilar milieu.
Right.
Like, Mary Beth Hurt seems to only exist as a person in a world where there are writers. Right? She's like an intellectual woman.
Right.
Who is in a relationship with a guy.
Right.
Because Mary Beth Hurt is kind of low-key really hot. Like, you know what I mean? But like low-key really hot. She's got a thing.
I read an interview or something where she mentioned sexuality in a way that made me think that it was something that's probably a prominent aspect about her personality.
She's married to Paul Schrader for like 40 years.
What does that have to do with sexuality?
I think, Paul Schrader's a guy who has a lot of sex on his mind. And she was also married to William Hurt, too.
Is he a sexy
He's a sexy dude. This was back in the day when you would, like, marry somebody, take their last name, and then that becomes your stage name. Even when you marry somebody else. Like, she was always Mary Beth Hurt. That was because she married William Hurt.
Right.
She was originally like Mary Beth Supinger.
Well, Hurt's better.
Hurt is better. But yeah, I guess she like got famous while she had that last name.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I guess I'm always going to be Mary Beth Hurt. But she's obviously somebody who, if Joey walked into a room, even no matter how prickly and upset and constipated, as you say, she looks, I think all of the dudes would be like, what's up with that chick over there? She's got something underneath it where you're like, I bet she's a little bit of a freak. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what I'm saying? Maybe this is something that makes her less sticky to you.
Obviously I don't have the same perspective as you do for this, and I have been in the position of somebody projecting sexuality onto me when it didn't feel reflective of myself, and it bothered me a lot. Like I remember somebody telling me like this guy who was clearly interested in me being like, telling me that he thought I was a really sexual person, and I'm like,
are you not though?
Well, not to him. Like,
but you are though.
You
have talked about being a person in the past, at least, who you would love to like make people uncomfortable by making sexual comments.
But that's not what he meant.
Okay.
And I didn't do that in that group of friends, and I just didn't feel like it was actually I thought it was projecting. Like somebody projecting their desire for me onto me. And I know I literally just said that I heard her mention sexuality in an interview that made me think that was an aspect of her personality. So I did the exact same thing as what you're talking about, but it wasn't routed in like my own desire.
Well, no, but it's not like she's like a huge crush for me of mine or something like that. But she played a type. You know what I mean? It was a certain kind of nerdy girl who's like not so nerdy that she won't like she's gonna be in a relationship in a movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Does this make sense? Like it's like she's like nerdy and intellectual and prickly, but
she doesn't have trouble finding him.
Exactly.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Okay.
No, I really don't think this is something that, as somebody who's not
into women,
that I don't think I can really comment on that.
Well, that was my loving tribute to our dear departed Mary Beth Hurt.
She's got this nerdy hot thing going on.
She does, though.
We'll talk more about her later. Maybe.
You're like, maybe that was all we had to say.
We'll
talk about her monologue. We'll talk about her.
Okay, well, let's just say we'll talk about her.
We'll talk about
later.
her.
Because this is her in memorial episode, so we better have some better things to say.
But this is kind of like the movie that we talk about,
right?
If Mary Beth Hurt plus New Hollywood. Yeah. This was her film debut.
Yeah, she hadn't been an actress for that long. Her Broadway debut was in 1974. Mm-hmm. So
her New York stage debut was in a musical where like Meatloaf was also in the musical.
Meatloaf.
And it was written by Jim Steinman, who wrote, all those Meatloaf songs. She played a 98-year-old Vietnamese man.
What?
So
that's very confusing.
Yeah. But she was a stage actress. She'd already been Tony nominated at this point, and she'd done some memorable TV episodes.
Let's just keep talking about Mary Beth Hurt.
NYU and married to William Hurt.
She probably did mostly do supporting roles, right? She had said in an interview, I've never been extremely comfortable playing the lead. I don't like the responsibility. There's a feeling that I have to be good. Besides, I found secondary parts much more interesting, especially when I was younger, and the ingenue roles were pretty bad. Mm-hmm. So she liked playing the secondary supporting roles more because they were more interesting.
In World According to Garp, she plays the wife, but it's not really like a the wife character. She's got a whole storyline. And she is sexualized.
She's not just a wife
in
there. She's an actual person with her own desires. Like in an interview she did about that movie. This is a little bit of a spoiler for World According to Garp, but she has an affair, and the interviewer was like, why do you think your character would have an affair? Like, she was so happy in her family. And she's like, it had nothing to do with the family. It had to do with the fact that her character was in her 30s and was feeling that she was aging, and had the thought to herself of like, is this all there is for life? And she was curious about what other things she could experience in her life. And her affair that she had was with somebody who she felt wouldn't threaten her family life at all, because she did love her family and didn't want to threaten that. But she also was a real person who wanted to live life to its fullest, and she was flawed. So the way that character is written in World According to Garp and the way she played it is pretty strong.
Yeah. She is, as you said, capable of disappearing into roles. She looks very different in her two signature roles.
Right.
She's
Which
got
is the World According to
Garp and this, yeah.
I think she serves the role more than serving herself.
Yeah, right. But she's got two key characteristics. To me, obviously, like the hands I noticed.
Sam is obsessed with people's hands, like actresses' hands specifically.
Yeah, she's got very prominent hands, which is another big Bergman touch, I would say.
You specifically said that her hands look like she's from
Sweden. Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
I could pull up some pictures and show you if you want.
You think that her hands look like Swedish hands, and that both cases they're longer and bigger and rougher?
I would not be surprised. Hers aren't that rough, but I would not be surprised if that was part of the casting process.
That sounds crazy to me if that was part of the casting process. I doubt they were like, oh, your hands look like they're Swedish and we're going for a Bergman thing, therefore we're casting you in this role. I think, no way. I call bullshit on that.
So she has kind of a nondescript face, but her voice is so specific.
Yeah.
Once she starts talking in one of these movies, if you don't know who she is, you're like, wait, I know that. If you've seen the other movie, you're like, wait, I know that voice. Who is that? And that's when it brings it all back. And that's why it's, again, great that she's got this whole big ending monologue where you're just like left with her in the dark. You're not even seeing her. You're just seeing the glasses reflection and hearing her speak. We'll play a little clip of her voice.
I can't concentrate. I sit there all day reading other people's manuscripts, and halfway through I lose interest. I get headaches from the words, and then I'm supposed to sit down and write an opinion. It's not fair to the authors. Think about going back to acting. I'm not an actress. Can't do that again. Flynn's the actress in this family. Sometimes I think if we had a child. Oh, God. And that really makes me anxious. It's totally irrevocable.
It's the thing where you kind of can't tell if you think it's high or low, a certain nervy intellectual clip to it.
I know you said it's very specific, but it also is kind of nondescript to me in a specific way.
She just doesn't sound like a movie actor. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
She's very real to me.
Yes.
She's really good at playing super realistic.
Right. Which is why it's just crazy to imagine her married to Paul Schrader for so long. But we can move on from her for now, if you want, to other characters.
All right. So there's Flynn.
And we don't really need to talk about her.
She's the sister who is an actress. You get the sense she's just kind of in silly, dumb roles, maybe?
She's a television actress.
Okay.
She does TV movies.
TV movies, right? And just not really respected by the family.
Yeah.
And she recently got hot.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, they talk about, I can't get over how sexy Flynn got. She likes to use cocaine in another Woody Allen sort of non-judgmental drug portrayal.
Right. That's true, actually.
She just kind of like needs to get away from it all, goes and gets her Coke store in her car in the garage, seems very pleased with herself, and then has a very horrific sexual assault scene occur.
Do you think the cocaine thing, though, is a comment on LA people and cocaine use?
I guess. I think Woody's just trying to find a little moment of characterization for her.
Yeah.
And again, like you pointed out in the Annie Hall episode, he was pretty good at just showing how casual drug use was. I think, his first wife was a big drug user, so I think he had a lot of experience with people just doing that.
Right, it's true. Like Flynn goes to use cocaine, and it's not portrayed at all as that being anything that contributes to the horrific thing that then happens.
No, right. And she doesn't offer it to Frederick
right.
either or anything.
Okay, we've got the dad character, Arthur, played by E.G. Marshall.
Who we've seen before.
Yes, he was in 12 Angry Men, a movie that we've briefly discussed in our Sidney Lumet episode. During his lifetime, he never told people what EG stood for. He said it stood for everybody's guess. But funny. Wiki spoils it for you. He was born Everett Grunts. That's his first and last
Everett
name.
Grunts?
Yeah. So he changed his name. He was one of the first members of the Actors Studio. He studied alongside Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift, etc.
Yeah.
And a very distinguished Broadway career, including being in the original production of The Iceman Cometh. Mm-hmm. So that might have been part of the casting, because Woody Allen was clearly very inspired by O'Neill for this movie, so maybe he was channeling that energy.
It's great casting. Again, these are people that you just haven't seen in other contexts. Then you later remember, like, oh, he was that guy with the glasses in 12 Angry Men. But he comes into this so himself. He's just this father figure. It's like, what would you say he's like? He's not quite authoritative, but he's not quite mild-mannered either.
I feel like there are moments in the movie when you feel like you should blame the dad.
Right.
But the movie doesn't actually blame him.
Right.
And you find him sympathetic.
How could he be married to Eve for so long?
I really feel bad for the place he was in. And he clearly was with Eve for a very long time until his children were independent. And then decided, okay, I need to live my life for myself. And he's very matter-of-fact and businessman-like about it. He's a lawyer. He's a corporate guy. So you think like, oh, he's an asshole. But it's actually, in my opinion, an extremely sympathetic character.
But it is fucking crazy that he tells his wife he's getting a divorce in front of their 2 kids.
Yes. I do think that's crazy. Maybe in his mind, he's like, this is a family affair.
Right. Yeah.
But I do feel like you should probably have that conversation one-on-one.
But it seems like that's coming from a place of kind of weakness.
Maybe.
Like he's wanting to have them there as buffers a little bit.
Maybe.
Perhaps. But you're right that he's very sympathetic. The problem with the family is Eve, at least according to the movie.
Oh, interesting.
You know?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Relationships are mended once she's...
Yeah. But he does the thing, too, which I relate to and is not good, but is also hard to resist sometimes, which is not being able to fully break up with somebody. He sort of strings her along, sort of doesn't. He keeps in touch, maybe too much.
Yeah.
After.
I mean, it's hard because she still really loves him, you know?
I know. No, I know. I mean, but I've done this with relationships, too.
I haven't. I make a clean break, but I have to say Eve's character reminds me a lot of my dad. And I don't usually mention him on the podcast. I kind of reference him sometimes, but I never say him by name because I always think maybe he'll listen to the podcast. But if I'm honest, I know he's not going to. And so talking about Eve's character is pretty hard for me because there's a lot of similarities between Eve and my dad. And it's a little hard for me to talk about that part of it.
I get it, baby. But unfortunately, we have a podcast to do, so you're going to have to suck it up.
Anyways.
I'm sorry. Audience, please know that I would be comforting my wife more
if we weren't on mic. But the dad character, sorry, I'm just going to change the topic.
Sure.
He's a corporate attorney. He was in 12 Angry Men. He also played an attorney in a 60s TV show called The Defenders. Yeah. And he, in fact, was selected as a fellow of the American Bar Association and an officer of the American Judicature Society. I'm sure I'm saying that word wrong.
They're just like, you're an honorary lawyer?
Yeah, because he was, I guess, devoted to promoting the effective administration of justice. He was just known as this justice-related guy. So it kind of makes sense, I think, that his character is a lawyer in this. Or an attorney. Is an attorney the same thing as a lawyer?
I think so.
But it's funny that that's his niche thing.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, they focus a lot on his use of language like irrevocable. You don't remember
No.
This is sort of brought up several times. He keeps telling Eve, I feel like this is something I want to do. It's not an irrevocable situation. And then later Joey talks about not wanting to have a baby because she's like, it's so irrevocable. And it's clearly stuck with them. And that's the kind of cold, lawyerly language I think that we're supposed to be feeling he's retreating into, / maybe correctly employing in this case that needs to get adjudicated by some clear heads.
Yeah, I mean, he does just come across as like the attorney dad, you know, but who also
Learns
loves
to
his
loosen
kid,
up.
and he loves his kids.
Yes.
Too.
Oh yeah.
Like he's not like Eve is the one who's emotionally unavailable, not the dad.
Well, right, and they have their own favorites. He's obsessed with Joey. Doesn't really give Renata what she wants, or it's more like Renata is just annoyed that he likes Joey so much. And the mother is somewhat obsessed with Renata, or like it's just always invoking Renata as a person who's more sympathetic to her and more encouraging to her than Joey is, who views herself as a realist and the only one not lying to her mother.
Right. Her mother's like, maybe me and your dad will get back together, and everybody else, the other siblings, are like, oh, yeah, maybe. But Joey says, no, you have to move on.
Right.
And that causes a lot of tension between Joey and Renata and Joey and her mother. I relate to that aspect about Joey. I'm not one to provide fake comfort.
Yeah. And it's
yourself.
maddening.
It's, what do you mean?
It's maddening. Somebody being so stuck in a delusion.
Right.
And you know it's causing their problems somewhat, or you suspect that it is, maybe?
If Eve found a way to get over her ex-husband, she could start living her life more, potentially.
Right. I mean, well, they talk about Eve being very into Christianity. These
Yeah,
are,
as a
these are
recent
Christian
discovery.
Right?
Okay, so...
Well, Kale has a whole thing about
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Right,
I'm going to read Pauline Kael's quote about what this movie has to say about Judaism. And keep in mind, Pauline Kael is Jewish. So...
She views a lot of stuff through that lens.
Yes. She said, "Are we expected to ask ourselves who in the movie is Jewish and who is Gentile? The questions are so sterilized of background germs that the question is inevitably raised. And one of the film's few overt jokes is an overheard bit from a television show in which an interviewer asks a boy, 'What nationality were you at the time of your birth?' And the boy answers, 'Hebrew.' Surely at root, the family problem is Jewish. It's not the culture in general that imposes these humanly impossible standards of achievement. They're a result of the Jewish fear of poverty and persecution and the Jewish reverence for learning."
Yeah, I just don't really see where she's getting any of this.
I don't know.
Like, Woody Allen is Jewish.
No, I know, but I think she's saying that hyper-intellectualism leading to depression might be connected to something in the Jewish culture of a strive for excellence, even if it is at the expense of your own happiness.
Maybe, but I also think that a cold, austere sense of everything in its right place is often thrown at the feet of wasps as characteristic of them. And they feel kind of waspy.
Right.
Maureen Stapleton, Pearl comes in and she feels pretty Jewish. If we're looking at like the Annie Hall, Annie's parents versus Alvy's parents, Pearl seems more like Alvy's parents and the others seem more like Annie's parents. And Diane Keaton is one of the daughters. So.
I, of course, know what you're getting at, but I also think the fixation on intellectualism and art, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, Pauline Kael, you're wrong for identifying with that aspect as something that's present in the Jewish culture at the time.
I just think it's pretty explicit in this movie that the mother, at least, is Christian.
I think that she is recently become Christian. I think the sisters talk about how it's recent.
They say all of her Jesus Christ nonsense seems to work, or seems to be helping her. And
yeah.
Goes, yeah, well, whatever works. The title of another Woody Allen movie.
No, but I thought the implication there was that it was a new thing she recently got into.
I
that
think
there was a born again type energy to it.
Yeah, maybe.
It's something to think about.
It's something to think about, for sure. I mean, this movie, there's a very notable scene in a Catholic church, I think.
Right.
Or it's Catholic, right? They got all the candles.
Yeah, it's got to be. What other kind of church like that is there?
Yeah, I don't know.
You want to keep working through the characters?
Yeah.
Let's do the
boyfriends.
Boyfriends, yeah. So we got Mike, who's Joey's partner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't have much to say about him except he sucks. Like, he's mean to Joey's mother. He's mean to Eve. Yeah. And that, to me, it's like, I don't care how much you might be annoyed at your partner's parent. You don't get to be mean to them. Right.
He is a jerk. His character is very specific, I would say. He views himself as an extremely self-righteous leftist who looks at everything as a sort of like rich versus poor, powerful versus powerless dichotomy. Mm-hmm. And he views everything about Eve's problems as reflective of her privilege. The fact that she's spending so extravagantly on these like stupid interior design pieces, these lamps and vases. To him, this is a moral affront. And that is why he gets so mad at her.
I don't think I fully appreciated that.
Yeah. And so he's saying to Joey, like, maybe you should come work with me. And she's like, I don't care about politics the way you do. And she's like, I'm too self-centered. And he's like, well, yeah, that would be good for you. Maybe it would help you get off yourself. And she's like, ugh, like, he's this oppressively politicized leftist.
Yeah, but to be clear, like, that doesn't excuse any of his behavior.
No.
He still shouldn't be an asshole.
No,
and
of course.
Joey is real for being like, I don't want to center my whole life around a cause. I want to care about other things. I don't want anybody to make me feel guilty for that,
No, yeah. Well, there's this very key scene where Pearl comes in and they're all talking about some play about Algerian conflict. Mm-hmm. And, they all have their own little take on the play. And their take is extremely indicative of what each of their characters are like, right? And Mike's take, he just pops in and he's like, I really liked how they showed that the Algerian fighters they never killed wantonly. They only killed when they absolutely needed to. I thought that was great. Like, he's basically just like, I loved how it showed that they were totally right and morally perfect. He's like just so completely on the side of oppressed groups.
Right.
So that's him. That's Mike.
And then the real villain of the movie is Frederick, Renata's husband, played by Richard Jordan, who we've also seen before. We've discussed him in the movie The Friends of Eddie Coyle. He plays the detective in that movie.
He's great in both of these movies.
Yeah, he is.
This is maybe his best role.
He does pop.
Yeah.
And he is also awful.
Yeah, he's completely loathsome in every way in this movie. Yeah.
He is also shitty to Eve.
Yes.
Okay, so fuck that.
Is he? Wait, actually, what does he do to Eve?
He's not explicitly shitty to her face, but he complains about having to hang out with her or spend time with her.
But Eve prefers him to Mike and is always shitting on Mike.
Well, because Mike's an asshole directly to her.
Yeah, right.
And then he also talks shit about Flynn, and at first, he's like, I forget exactly what he says, but something about her being stupid, probably.
She says everything that he says is reflective of his obsession with how much less critically acclaimed his work is than his wife.
Oh, right.
He's married to Renata.
That's a big thing. He's an author, but...
He's an experimental author who people don't get, or maybe he does suck.
Right.
But it's unclear, and he's just very obsessed with the fact that he doesn't feel rewarded at all.
It's a bit of a Star is Born, two people... a couple struggling with one person's success taking off and the other doesn't.
Yeah, and he says Flynn suffers from this. I have this movie memorized. I've seen this movie maybe more times than Annie Hall. But he says he's also drunk, right? And he says Flynn suffers from the same problem of my last novel. She's a perfect example of form without any content. Like, he's always self-deprecating about his work, but he's also insulting her sister, who he's also incredibly sexually attracted to.
Yeah, well, not until he sees her. It's not until he sees her again, and then he specifically says, Flynn got hot.
Yeah.
And then, he tries to assault her. He tries to rape her.
This is one of the more upsetting rape scenes in a movie. Like, it goes on.
Yeah.
And it's like, she fights him off, he keeps coming, you hold on it.
Yeah. Now, in case you're worried about watching this, it's an awful scene. He is unsuccessful. She does get away. So
yes.
If that helps you decide whether or not to watch this movie if you're hearing this.
I think if I could level a criticism at this movie, I mean, I guess it's handled well, but the use of sexual assault feels a little cheap because it's trying to get you to this dark night of the soul place. Stuff is really turning and getting awful in the house.
Right, because, okay, so I don't, I want to save some of the ending, talking about the ending of the movie for later, but I do want to highlight that this happens during the wedding of the father and Pearl, who we'll talk about in a second.
After the wedding.
Or, sorry,
not during the wedding.
This happens after the wedding of the father and Pearl, who we'll talk about later. It is the worst wedding in the history of weddings. One daughter is angry and bitchy, that's Joey. The other daughter experiences sexual assault, attempted rape. Another daughter seems to contemplate suicide while her husband is trying to rape her sister. And then the guy getting married, his ex-wife, comes to the house and dies by suicide. That is the worst wedding ever.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're right.
It's like rain.
So, that being a plot point, I think you're right. It was just a tool to really make everything seem awful.
It's arguably a little bit slapdash, which is a weird thing to say about a sexual assault, but it's kind of thrown in there.
Right.
You really need to have something happen with Flynn.
There's no resolution at the end.
Yeah.
As far as you know, Flynn never told anybody that it happened.
Yeah, you never see Frederick again.
Yeah, and you don't see Renata interacting with Flynn about it.
No.
Yeah.
I think it is handled in a way that is quite disturbing.
Yeah.
In a way that makes it sort of like, wow, he went there.
Right.
Like, you don't expect to see that dark of a scene in a Woody Allen movie.
Right. And
even though it's got suicide in it and stuff.
This might also be him being like, I'm going to make a serious movie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's a little edgelordy, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would go that far. It's maybe just him trying to be like, I'm serious. And to say it like that is kind of fucked up.
I mean, I will say, it is horrific, but it doesn't show it in a sexual way.
No, it's nothing but upsetting the whole time.
There are a lot of rape scenes that bother me because it seems it shows it in a sexual way that's uncalled for. And
there's plenty of movies we're going to talk about in this podcast that we'll get into that.
Yeah. So at least it's not that, but I agree with you, what you're saying. Okay, and now Pearl.
Yes. The bright, shining light of the film, in a sense.
Woody Allen said, I should have brought Pearl, Maureen Stapleton's character, in earlier. I thought the audience would be entertained before the nub of conflict emerged. I thought it was entertaining enough before Pearl entered, but it wasn't. It should have been. I should have started it with Pearl coming in right away, and the whole thing would have flowered right from the start. So I disagree with him that it's not entertaining until Pearl comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to rewatch this movie knowing that that's how Woody Allen feels about it, because I've watched this movie twice now, but the first time was a while ago. I didn't really remember it. I don't have a good sense of the structure in my head. Pearl, to me, I wouldn't have been obvious that Pearl is the linchpin of this movie.
Right.
But you, as somebody who's watched it a bunch, how do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, about the question of whether she should have come in earlier?
And the importance of Pearl to the story. And tell us a little bit about Pearl as a character.
Well, so Pearl is the new wife of the father, Arthur. Is that his name?
Arthur, yeah.
Arthur.
Well, girlfriend first, and then
girlfriend
and then
first,
wife.
and they're going to get married very quickly. They met in Greece, and yeah, she is the complete antithesis of every other character. All she lives for is a sensual, experiential enjoyment of life. Her key line is, you could live to be 100 if you give up half the things that make you want to. And it's also sort of portrayed somewhat humorously. Again, I know that you don't think there's a lot of humor, but look, where she's got 2 dead husbands, and they're all like, this woman might be after your money. And she is shoveling cholesterol into this man's body in an attempt to help him to relax and live life a little bit, but also it might have a little canniness there.
Maybe, but she doesn't come across malicious at all.
She seems completely sweet. And she's loving.
She's from Florida, whereas everybody else is a New Yorker family.
Yeah, she's got all of these like fun, useless hobbies and interests. She loves tarot cards and card tricks. But it's interesting because in the scene where they all give their explanations of what they thought the Algerian play was about, she has the great summation in the end, where they're all talking about the moral ambiguity of what did you think of this side. It showed both sides so well, and she's like, I didn't get that. I thought that it was simple. One guy was a squealer, the other guy wasn't. I like the guy who didn't squeal. It's not like she's saying like, I didn't understand that play at all. She's like, no, the play was very simple. She understood the play. She had her own understanding of it. She's just not confused about it. Renata says something like, well, but it's, how do you know what the right thing to do is? And she goes like, I don't know. You just don't squeal. You do the right thing. Like, what are you talking about?
That is interesting. I definitely interpreted that scene as her not being intellectual, whereas everybody else was.
I think she's not overly intellectualizing everything.
I feel like
not that they are really too much. Like, it's fine to intellectualize stuff. But.
I felt like she didn't think she could even engage in the conversation at the level that they were. She explicitly says like, oh yeah, I don't really read much, and she doesn't like architecture. She prefers beaches. So she is explicitly painted as the less intellectual character of them all.
But it's not in a bad way. Like, she's what they need.
She's more real and alive. And and like we said earlier, it's like this whole idea Woody Allen has about the farther away you are from this intellectual, artistic New Yorker stereotype, the more you might be living your life.
Yeah, Woody Allen comes from a gangsterish milieu. His dad was a bookie, I think. Woody Allen says, I have very limited range as an actor. I can play an intellectual because that's how I wear glasses and I look like an intellectual. Or I can play a lowlife because that's where I'm from. So I know he really identifies with this. It's like in Annie Hall when the second wife is wanting him to come and talk to the New Yorker party people and he just wants to watch basketball. I think that's a big philosophy of Woody Allen that he holds dear to about himself. That he has that, I'm just a dummy. I don't really care much about this crap. Like, sure, I love Bergman, but, I also just love watching dumb crap with Bob Hope movies. She's the hero of the movie. In a way, she saves Joey.
Right.
She's meant to be this new mother figure who's going to be able to give them all what they really need.
Do you view her as this character who comes in and totally changes the tone of the film?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
I mean, she is a breath of fresh air, but I still feel like the film has an extremely oppressive tone and aesthetic the entire time, even with her in it.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the earlier parts of the movie. And in fact, to bring in the context of this movie's place in Woody Allen's filmography, this is his immediate follow-up to Annie Hall. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, Annie Hall is a natural stepping stone towards this.
Okay, explain.
Him first attempting to have drama rather than comedy. Annie Hall was his first full-on comedy movie, but it still had some comedy in it. And then Interiors is like, let me try no comedy at all drama.
They have another thing in common.
Diane Keaton, obviously, but what else?
They're out of order. This is a subtly out of order movie. It opens in medias res with a monologue from Arthur, and you see like sort of various snatches of little pieces around their childhoods and what their life was like before, with Eve. Then Eve comes in and interrupts Mike's work. He's very pissed off at her. They have a conversation. Joey gets home. She gets into a fight with her mother about her mother thinks that she's still going to reconcile with her dad.
Right.
You see various other scenes with Renata monologuing to her therapist in a touch that we could talk about, how effective we think that is. But then you see the divorce moment later. It goes back in time.
Well, it's just a flashback.
No, but they I guess. Okay, but I still think that this is like Annie Hall in a way. There's like a lot of jumping around at the beginning, and the plot really kicks in with Pearl.
Okay, here's what I think it actually is more like. So I think that divorce scene is just a flashback. I don't think it's told out of order. I think there are a lot of time jumps until Pearl arrives.
Right.
Like the only scenes we see, it's only when the characters are interacting with other family members. It's almost like we are not allowed to see their life outside of their family.
Their exterior.
Right. It reminded me of scenes from Marriage. Bergman, obviously.
Yeah.
The way you see a story just through time jumps and vignettes in a family dynamic.
Yeah, but Manhattan, he doesn't do this. I feel like he was kind of in this mode. Needed to jump around.
It's like Annie Hall in that it's vignettes. But I do think it's in chronological order, this movie. I don't think it's jumbled.
I think you could not notice it, though. It becomes clearer the more times you watch it that you're like, oh, I guess this is back in time.
Yeah, sorry, I disagree with you about that.
You disagree with me? Okay, that's fine.
About the jumping around in time thing. But the vignettes aspect is similar to
But I do think that there's a certain amount of lack of forward momentum.
Until Pearl comes in. Fully agree.
Because you're kind of just having a scene with two characters where they're all, again, am I criticizing or is this just a movie that I've seen a million times? They're all being extremely expositional about who they are, what their philosophy about art is, what their relationship is to this other character, what they think about Eve and the whole situation with that. A lot of the dialogue is rather non-subtextual.
Yeah, I want to quote Pauline Kael here.
Sure.
She says, Interiors looks so much like a masterpiece and such a super banal metaphysical theme, death versus life, that it's easy to see why many regard it as a masterpiece. It's deep on the surface. Mm-hmm. And I fully agree with this. It's deep on the surface. And I think that even with the title, like the title Interiors, similar to Annie Hall, silent, no music for the opening credits.
Different font, though.
Different font, weirdly. The title card pops up, and then you see shots of interiors of houses. And you're like, right, yeah, interiors, I got it. And then you're also immediately like, oh, yeah, and interiors also refers to the interiority of the human experience. Yeah. And
it's crazy nobody else named a movie this. Until now.
Well, it's a little too on the nose.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, like it's immediately obvious in the way that to me is similar to Kael saying it's deep on the surface.
This is what's both cool, or it's like admirable, but also laughable about Alan in this period, is he's making like movies that are primers for themselves. He's kind of explaining what this kind of movie is to an audience.
This is like what we were talking about with Annie Hall versus French New Wave, where he was trying experimental techniques. They're a little hollow. Mm-hmm. He's kind of just gesturing towards them. And while watching this, I couldn't decide if I felt the same way about Interiors, the way in which it's doing the Bergman style. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that Annie Hall is hollow, but the experimental nature of Annie Hall, to me, felt hollow.
Yeah.
I think that the Bergman nature of Interiors feels a little more embodied.
Yeah.
A little more organic.
Yes.
And not quite as hollow as the experimentation in Annie Hall. And yet still, though, it is extremely derivative on purpose and pretentious in that that's what it's going for. I think it will keep me from thinking this movie is truly amazing because it rests so much on Bergman. Like, this is not the first Bergman ripoff movie, and I shouldn't say ripoff, but homage movie that we've discussed on this.
Oh, really?
Last House on the Left.
Sure.
And that movie was not at all going for Bergman style.
Yeah.
It was so different, and I liked that about it. I liked that it was so different. So if your main goal is to do your own version of another artist, it can only go so high for me in how I think about it. Like, I do think that this is a great movie, but there is a limit to how much I can like this movie because of that. And Kale said that she felt like this movie was lacking the eroticism of Bergman. And it's not that I need that exact eroticism in interiors, but it is lacking something that makes it a fully original work.
It's kind of more serious than a Bergman movie is.
Right.
It's Bergman plus Chekhov or whatever. But it's just, everybody talks about, this is his follow-up to Annie Hall. It's quite a zag. Everyone says, they use the same phrase whenever they talk about this. Woody Allen had earned the right to make this movie.
Right.
Because he made Annie Hall, which won a bunch of Oscars.
Yeah.
And this movie, I actually talked about this movie not being a hit, but it actually made plenty of money compared to its budget. It was a $3 million budget, made $10 million. That's not a big hit, but that's more than tripling its budget. Critically, it was a big hit. Got a bunch of Oscar nominations.
5 Oscar nominations. Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress for Maureen Stapleton.
The two Grand Dames.
Pearl. Yeah, Best Art Direction.
Yeah. No cinematography?
No cinematography.
Kind of nuts. This movie looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I wonder what else was that year. Okay, the nominations that year were Days of Heaven. That's the winner.
Movie.
That's the winner. Yeah, of course that one's going to win. The Deer Hunter, Heaven Can Wait, Same Time Next Year, and The Wiz.
Solid year.
I haven't seen The Wiz or Heaven Can Wait or Same Time Next Year or The Deer Hunter. I've only seen Days of Heaven. But yes, audiences, though, weren't a huge fan. And although critics liked it, there was still criticism of it being too pretentious or too much of a Bergman, Chekhov, off.
What do you mean too much of a Bergman ripoff? Name another movie that's like this. This isn't a thing that people did. It's an original thing to try and make... Like, okay, first of all, what is a Bergman movie? What makes this movie so Bergman-y?
This thing we're discussing reminds me of James Franco's movie The Broken Tower, which he made as his master's thesis for his MFA in filmmaking. He directed, wrote, produced, edited, starred in it. It's this black and white movie about a poet. There's this long scene where you just watch him read a poem out loud, like a very long one, and you just have to sit and watch it. And it's just clearly art house inspired, French New Wave inspired, in a way that is so eye-rolly film student like. I feel like I've seen a lot of movies like that, and Interiors is a better version of that. There, like, when you see the lesser version of that, that criticism does fully make sense.
Yeah, no, of course. It's just like, what is a Bergman movie? Is it the fact that they are all artists willing to have esoteric discussions about what art means? Is it about the fact that Diane Keaton puts her hand on a window and has a monologue about experiencing the feeling of death? Is it about a sympathetic view of suicide? Is it just that characters are sitting talking and it's a dialogue driven?
All those things, yes. There's direct persona, visual references. Also, like when...
But he did that in... Love and Death.
And you don't think he was inspired by
Bergman it was.
For it?
It
for when Eve shows up at the wedding, she shows up and doesn't say anything.
Yeah, you're right. She does kind of have a seventh seal. She just kind of looked like death in the seventh seal.
Oh, for me, actually, it reminded me of the dream sequence in Persona.
Okay.
When, the one woman comes in kind of like a ghostly nightgown, and you're not sure what did or didn't happen. That's what it reminded me of.
Sure.
But so there are obvious like visual aspects that directly call back Bergman films, but more generally, the way the personal dynamics are portrayed, the aspect about characters being restrained and yet emotional. I think that restrained yet emotional is highly Bergman. You have frequent monologues, you have a strong set of people, a handful of people, no extras in the background. You got a beach.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. That's true.
And although the movie isn't black and white, it is all neutral colors. It's as close to black and white as you can get.
Yeah, but
while
that's
still being colored.
But that's the thing, though, is like color Bergman isn't really like this. Color Bergman is vivid and vibrant and splashy.
I know, but his black and white stuff is very stark.
Yes, right. It's black and white.
Not all black and white is created equal.
That is true. You're right.
So,
but we know what it's a kind of you know it when you see it.
I really think that it's not just specific illusions that make this Bergman. I think it fully is embodying characteristics of a Bergman film. In fact, this movie reminded me so much of Autumn Sonata. Autumn Sonata came out the same year.
Yeah,
but it has like that mother-daughter relationship that's difficult
Oh, yeah, you're
to
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of think, though, that I appreciate that Woody Allen used his clout to, he made this movie, then he goes on to make a Fellini homage in Stardust Memories. Like, not many directors ever wanted to put on the guise of different directors, right? Because we have, like, De Palma doing Hitchcock. Right? And like I was thinking about imitators, with this, like in the 90s, right? Like after Pulp Fiction hits, there's so many would-be Tarantino movies coming out. I guess mumblecore was kind of like a movement that involved a lot of people like imitating each other's work, but that's also like a lot of it's just kind of easy to do.
I mean, you got it with Jaws.
You have it with Jaws. I guess, is Nolan somebody that some people try and, I
bet Nolan,
for a little bit?
I bet Sean Baker will soon be that way for people
Maybe.
now that he's got his Oscar.
Jordan Peele, Greta Gerwig. I mean, I guess Gerwig was kind of influential in the mumblecore era.
Oh, definitely.
But 100%.
Yeah,
but and the Safdies people talk about as being this new wave.
I think it absolutely still happens. I think that it will always happen.
I guess I kind of think it's cool because not everybody gets imitated.
I appreciate that he made this. One of my big issues with New Hollywood is it's influenced by 60s foreign art house, but then commercializes it and makes it violent and more palatable. He doesn't do that.
No.
He's straight up trying to make one of those 60s foreign art house films, and I really do appreciate that. Like I said, there's a limit to how much I can like it, but it has nothing to do with how well he pulled it off. And I appreciate the sentiment. I love Bergman, and I'm sorry, but I do want to see everybody's shitty film school movie where they're doing an homage to a filmmaker, even though it's eye-rolly. Like, I still kind of want to see it anyways.
Woody has a lot of connections to theater. He was a playwright. And it's kind of a theater thing. Sometimes like you're doing a revival of this play, or like you're doing this kind of author's work, so you got to do it in this certain way. Like in movies, there's a lot more premium put on originality with and voice with every given thing. But in theater, it's a little bit more like, well, now we're in this mode.
Yeah, and sorry, this is not directly engaged
with
what you just said, but every filmmaker is inspired by other filmmakers. It's always an aspect about filmmaking, unless you're like Agnes Varda, who swears that she's never seen a movie, or whatever she said about
Altman.
Or Altman, yeah. So like, you have a couple people, I guess, who aren't like that. But for the most part, you are always going to be influenced by other creators. So what's wrong with just taking to the extreme?
Well, it's just like weird to be like, I got enough creative cachet that I'm allowed to shamelessly ape a super famous director.
Right, like I think I prefer that to that being your first film you make.
Yeah, no, right.
Because then you could say, like, I've already shown that I have my own original voice. Let me just try doing an homage to something that's deep and meaningful to me.
I think it's cool that Woody Allen allowed himself to become kind of a film student or an experimental filmmaker after he'd already become established.
I agree. I fully appreciate directors or filmmakers in general trying something new. Like I've said many, many, many times, that Wes Anderson bugs me because he seems scared to try anything other than his very specific style. I think it's really lame that Tarantino only wants to make 10 movies total because he doesn't want to seem like a loser for failing. It's like,
that's true, yeah.
Try, okay, please. Like, I want to see you try and fail. Like, I respect that so much more than being too afraid to explore creatively.
That is funny that you mentioned it, that Tarantino is worried about seemingly how he is perceived, because I would say see every interview he's ever given for the complete opposite impression of that.
Oh, I think he sees himself as an extremely cool person and wants to always feel cool.
Yeah, but he's not. And he also doesn't seem to care that other people don't think he is.
I think he cares. Right. I think it's calculated. I think he's
I
realized...
don't know. I feel like a lot of times he's really just kind of going off.
I think because he feels that is a cool thing for him to do.
Yes. Gosh. This is a fascinating question, Tarantino. How self-aware is he? Because he's a person who obviously thinks about his own image and thinks about, like you're saying, like, right, he doesn't want to make too many movies because he's thinking about himself as a catalog.
Right.
But he also gives off this very unfiltered vibe. Anyways,
Yeah.
Woody Allen's kind of different. He doesn't care at all about how his catalog is perceived. He doesn't care how many shitty movies he makes.
He's just the greatest person ever. There's nothing bad to say about him.
No, and the opposite is true in his in his personal life, and the way that he gives interviews. He is very calculating in how much he lets out. I think.
And I hope my sarcasm was very obvious.
It was.
You hate when I point out when either of us are employing sarcasm. It bugs you so much.
I think it's interesting. I guess I appreciate that you're here to do that. I'm not going to be the one who's doing that.
And then you'll make fun of me for it.
Did I make fun of you?
You're always like, yes, thank you, dear, in case anybody couldn't realize I was being sarcastic.
I do find it hard to resist throwing in a thank you, dear, every once in a while. But so, yeah, it's incredibly clear watching this movie the whole time. You're like, I get what this movie is doing.
Right.
It's exactly clear in what it's trying to do.
Right.
And you got to respect it, but also it's not designed to be appealing in a broad way. To me, though, it was incredibly personally appealing in a way that I am less drawn to it now, maybe, because I do think this is much like Annie Hall, as we said. These are great beginner movies. They're great. They really explode ideas of what drama is, because all the characters are so explicitly there. They're not obvious characters. They're complicated, but they all tell you every thought they've ever had.
There's not much subtext.
There's no subtext. You then can kind of just, you know what they're like alone, and then you put them all together in a scene, and you see how the magic's going to happen. You see how they're going to catenate against each other.
So do you feel like you watched this movie too many times?
No. I mean, it's not one that I'm throwing on a lot. Although, but I do think that there's something about it's not like I think Pearl needs to get introduced earlier, but there is a real stiltedness, I think, to the first half that I'm aware of.
Like I said, I was very aware of time jumps happening.
Yeah.
Because it was like, here's a scene later with the same characters, but time has passed. Here's a scene later. And yes, as we've said, it becomes much more of a plot kicking in, moving at a more natural pace once Pearl is there.
It's not like I necessarily think Pearl should have got brought in earlier, but maybe cut a little bit of the stuff at the beginning with the different scenes with the people. But I don't know. You get most of Eve in the first half.
Yeah.
What do you think about the scene where Eve tapes up her apartment?
Well, I very quickly was like, oh, she's going to try and kill herself.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that was going to happen.
But it's a great touch when she runs out of tape.
Oh, yeah.
And then she goes to get another kind of tape, and it's not quite sticking at first, but then she gets it to work.
Right. I was very aware of the fact that that's a real person doing that, and it's very precise, and I wonder how many times they did that. Like, and was running out of tape on purpose.
That's kind of a joke.
Yeah, like you're
running out of
trying to
Yeah.
die by suicide, and like the common thing of that they show in movies of like you kind of fail at it, you know.
Well, and she wants it to be perfect and pristine. She goes and she's wearing her long black nightgown or whatever it is, and she lays on her divan.
Yeah, it's like if you swoon attractively on a settee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that shot of her in the taped up apartment laying down, I mean, Bergman would envy that shot.
The movie is visually lovely. It's very meticulous mise en scène and framing. It has to be. It's about interior design. Apparently, Pauline Kael pointed out in her review that for the screenings for the press and the people in the industry in Los Angeles, Woody Allen had the print returned to the lab after each screening to be washed so that it looked pristine. And yet, for me, the image looks very soft. And the colors, as I mentioned before, they're really neutral, very much in contrast with Pearl, who wears bright colors and florals. And the clothes, as we said, are very frumpy, but yet rich person frumpy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a style I like.
Yeah.
I've been leaning into more frumpy look, as I'm getting older. And not as cute as I used to be.
Wow, so you say.
I'm kind of enjoying the asexual frumpy look.
Well, yeah, what do you think of Eve's design choices?
Yeah, they're good. I'm not.
I don't know. See, this is a thing where
I don't decorate things. I don't have that type of artistic sensibility. So looked good to me. It had that minimalist thing. You know, are you trying to get at that it's supposed to be funny the way Phantom Thread is funny to you?
Yeah, that's exactly the comp that I was going for.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's supposed to be bad or anything. It's just, it's supposed to be
austere,
constipated.
and oppressive.
Like you said. Yeah. It's grays and whites, not even a lot of black.
Yeah.
Earth. She
Beige.
says my beiges and my earth tones are what she talks about.
Yeah.
And then later when they talk about, are they going to sell the house or are they going to redecorate? And Pearl's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of pale. Like, she just said, it's kind of pale, isn't it? Eve, she has a palette that you can't deviate from. It's a style, but it's also it becomes a lack of a style because there are other aspects to the world that you must sometimes acknowledge exist. You can't just build narrow little walls to live within. I also think the design, the minimalism and stuff, that it is also another Bergman kind of like Swedish
I agree.
look that helps give you the sense of what movie you're watching, which you always have.
Right. And with Bergman, could partly come from it being Swedish and could also come from him just shooting on an island.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't have a lot of decorations in the house, you know, that he was filming in.
Like Eve's hair is kind of looks like Swedish in a way, you know, like she's kind of got an updo.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of the design choices I think are very early 60s.
Yeah. And you're totally right that, you know, it's not until after Eve dies that healing starts, and it's kind of not until Pearl knocks over the vase, breaking Eve's carefully curated interior design in that house, that living can begin. And so, you know, it's about not being shackled to the idea of something, not being shackled to your possessions or to a persona that you have of yourself or your life. Persona.
Do you want to just get to the ending now?
Yeah. Right, so I mentioned all the ways in which it was the worst wedding ever. It's a wedding. They're gathered at the beach house for the wedding between Pearl and the father.
Yeah. It's a fascinatingly shot wedding, too, because you never see the couple getting married or the officiant. You hear the officiant off stage. You only ever see shots of the people watching the wedding with the most stone-faced expressions ever.
Yeah.
Diane Keaton's almost like spurking her way through this whole thing.
Yeah, and Joey is, as I said before, super bitchy. But, like, it's insane how bitchy she is.
Yeah.
But in a relatable way. I've definitely found myself being snarky to family when I'm like, I don't want to be right now. I can't help it. It's just coming out of me.
I love when she refers to Pearl to her dad's face as a vulgarian. And you know that her and her dad have this close relationship, and that she says that. And that's like a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang reference. And so you just like, you see this thing where they saw that movie together and they talk about that. And that she's evoking like, Dad, we always talked about how we hate vulgarians.
That was lost on me.
Well, there you go.
After the wedding, not soon after the wedding, there's the dancing, and Pearl knocks over the vase.
Pearl brings in music into the there's been no music up until when Pearl comes and starts blasting it.
There's no music in the whole movie until then?
Oh. This movie has kind of amazing sound design, too. It's very quiet most of the time, but then there's these like punctuating moments of, in the scene where Eve tapes up her apartment, the sound of the tape just comes. It goes like, and then in the scene in the cathedral, they go up to the candles, and she's like, I just want to die. And he's like, what? What? Don't say that. She's like, no, I just hate my goddamn life. And she knocks over all the candles, and it goes like, it's like,
yeah.
Later, Pearl comes and brings Woody Allen-esque jazz music to the wedding, and she outdances everybody. She keeps wanting to dance long past everybody's.
And you just know that she's going to knock that vase over.
Yeah.
It's a long, drawn-out scene where you see her elbow just getting closer and closer to the vase, and you just know it's coming. I don't like moments like that in a movie.
Yeah.
Because you're like, just get to it already. I don't want to just have the anticipation of knowing it's going to happen. It was a little too long for me, that
Perhaps.
part.
Yeah. The vase smashes in another moment of piercing sound design.
Yeah, and Joey gets pissed because, that was
She goes,
her
for
mother's
Christ's
face.
sake, be careful.
And then everything turns bad.
Yeah.
As we said, sexual assault happens with Flynn and Renata's husband.
And then Joey is sitting alone.
Yeah.
And she senses a presence.
Right.
And it's her mom.
And she has a monologue.
And she tells her kind of everything, much like the characters always do. She tells her everything that she's ever thought about her.
Good job, Mary Beth Hurt, in this.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly darkly shot. This is a Gordon Willis movie. And this is where you get some real Gordon Willis shit.
Oh, yeah. King of Shadows, 100%.
With the glasses.
Prince of Shadows, right?
Like you get that shot of just the light on Eve's eyes when she turns around. And she's got like her arm over her mouth like she's Dracula or something, like cloak over her mouth.
And you really, in my opinion, you really don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
If Joey's dreaming it.
She says it feels like we're in a dream together.
Right.
And there's these shots where you don't see Joey at all. You just see the glasses reflecting.
Yeah.
Super cool. And I mean, she says like horrible stuff to her mother. She's like, yeah, you're crazy, but also like you're an asshole. I could blame mental illness for your problems, but really, like, I think you know what you're doing, and you've been a terrible person, pretty much. And she's like, I'll take you home, but I need to tell you this first. Pearl comes and interrupts them. Joey's like, Mother? And Pearl's like, yeah. And Joey's like, what? She's like, you said mother? I said, yeah. Goes, finds Eve is out walking towards the sea. She's wearing a long, thick wool coat, and she walks into the sea.
And never comes back out. And I have to say, I love scenes like this. I'm really drawn to them. It's always extremely effective to me. I can think of another movie that's a new Hollywood film that I'm not going to say the name of because I don't want to spoil that for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. But it's a Robert Altman movie. So if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, I haven't spoiled anything because there's a bunch of Altman movies you probably haven't seen. It's a very similar scene to this. This scene also happens in a TV show that I'm not going to say the name of because I don't want to spoil it. And it happens in a book that was hugely influential on me when I was in high school and really sent me down a depressive episode, actually. But these scenes of a character just walking into the ocean and never coming back, and then especially if you add on another character trying to battle the waves and save the person, and all you're hearing is the waves and the cries for help, and you can barely see the characters out there in the water, and you don't quite know what's going on. They're always really effective to me.
Couldn't agree more. So Joey runs out and tries to save her, is unsuccessful, and almost drowns herself. Mike, her husband, pulls her back in, or boyfriend, pulls her back in. Pearl gives her mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
And breathes new life into her. She pushes Pearl away and hugs Joey. I guess the implication is now she's ready to be a better partner, too. Because, like, their relationship has been kind of bad. She keeps aborting his children.
Keeps aborting his children? Okay, firstly,
it's happened multiple times.
I do not like the way you put that.
I was saying that in a way with a wry smile. But, like, no, like, he wants to have a kid and she doesn't.
I liked, is this a pretty early way to show abortion in such a casual way?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Right, like how they're just like having a conversation about it. They're not thinking about the abortion as a thing. They're thinking about
what it means for their relationship.
Yeah, like why aren't we talking more about this?
Yeah.
You know. But so she hugs Mike. She's like she couldn't. And I'm just thinking about this. It was like she should be hugging Pearl.
Well,
but it's like she couldn't. That wouldn't make any sense.
I like that they're not like, oh, and now she suddenly has a good relationship with Pearl.
Right.
You know, she's still like, my mother just died, and here's the person I've been hating for taking my mother's place. She's not ready yet.
Right.
But she resolves her relationship with Renata in a very touching way. They finally bond, and it's unfortunate it happened because of grief, but I really love that moment. Renata never really wanted to interact with Joey and her mother up until that point. It, to me, was very significant seeing Joey and Renata comforting each other. That was a big step for them.
We're deep in symbolism territory in the end of this movie. They keep cutting back to shots of the other people in the house while Joey's chasing her mother out into the sea, and they're all asleep, including Flynn. Sort of like everyone's shown as being very sort of peacefully asleep. Mm-hmm. And then once Joey is saved, everybody wakes up. We're sent into a new realm within this, and everybody's potentially ready to start moving forward with their life. Joey is writing down thoughts about her mother that feel meaningful to her. She's journaling about them. She doesn't know what they mean, but she's ready to start talking about it. I don't know what else there's to talk about. This is a minor work in the Woody Allen oeuvre.
But I think it's solid. And it's definitely New Hollywood in that, well, how New Hollywood is it? It's doing a 60s Bergman thing, although, Bergman's still making movies. But it feels like a callback to 60s foreign films.
The characters feel pretty modern.
As I mentioned, the abortion thing, the coke use, the strong female figures.
Yeah.
Renata being successful.
What do you think about this movie's portrayal of women?
I think they're good female characters. I have no problems with the female characters in this movie. The most issues I have with the female characters in Woody Allen movies are when Woody Allen is in the movie.
In relationship?
Yeah, the way he treats them when he is a character in it.
That is one thing about this movie that makes it kind of nice is you don't got to deal with Woody.
Right.
Too much. Even early on, he knew that would be helpful to have some movies where he's not in it. I do think this movie's kind of very theatery, too.
Oh, yeah. And he cast a lot of theater people in it. So I think he's going for that, too. And he's inspired by Eugene O'Neill.
Yeah. And like none of the other than Keaton, none of the actors are huge 70s stalwarts.
Right.
Sam Waterston.
He played Mike.
Yeah, he played Mike.
What else is he in?
Well, in the 70s, he's in The Great Gatsby. He plays Nick.
Okay.
And, he was mostly a TV and stage actor, as all of these people are. But he's most well known for obviously being on Law & Order for a long time.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. He's the guy with the eyebrows in Law & Order.
The Newsroom. He's great. He's a little bit nondescript, but not quite in the bland Michael Murphy way.
Yeah.
He's got more of a thing, but his thing is being... I mean, he actually seems very tall in this movie in a way that I guess is kind of hot. He's sort of towering over Mary Beth Hurt. And you're kind of like, seems like kind of a hot couple. Sam Waterston and Mary Beth Hurt. Sorry that I'm sexualizing these characters so much. Woody Allen's one story that he told about the making of this movie was a lesson he learned was he got drunk with Geraldine Page and Maureen Stapleton, and that he just got in way over his head. They all just got like really emotional and too sloppy. And he was like, okay, I'm never going to do that with actors ever again. How fucking sick does that sound? Woody Allen with Maureen Stapleton and Geraldine Page getting shit-faced?
That sounds cute.
It does. Yeah, but Woody Allen's like, I can't do this.
I guess it just sounds fun. I do love those two women together. They seem like really fun people.
Yeah.
And Mary Beth Hurt.
Yes.
I guess ending on her. I'm glad that she got to do this role.
Yeah. If you can only be remembered for a couple of movies, and they're not the most famous movies ever. I mean, I guess World According to Garp was a pretty big hit, but this and World According to Garp are her two big bites at the apple. I think she secures her place in film history.
I mean, I'd never heard of her before this episode, as I said, so right. I don't know if she's not a household name, but she's great, and I'm glad that I got to explore her as an actress in this.
A lot of people are popping in this movie.
The fact that she can hold her own in it is impressive.
Right. I strongly prefer her performance to Diane Keaton's, but I think a lot of that is Diane Keaton kind of has a more annoying character in a way.
Oh, I love Diane Keaton's character in this.
No, me too. But she does these monologues to her therapist that I've seen those monologues so many times. And those parts feel a little bit self-consciously, I'm trying to make a serious movie with monologues in it. And whereas Joey's monologue at the end, which suffers from the same obvious problem of I'm going to end on a big monologue, my movie. I guess I appreciate that more. But I'm not trying to take away anything from Diane Keaton. And again, the contrast is stunning. But Mary Beth Hurt, I love her. And may she rest in peace.
Yeah. Cold Stone rating.
Mm-hmm. We rate movies like Cold Stone rates ice cream on this here podcast. We like to say whether we liked a movie, loved a movie, or gotta have the movie. I don't know why I'm choosing this affect for the Interiors Cold Stone introduction, but so be it. Did you like, love, or gotta have Interiors? And here's my question that I'm going to pose to myself as well as you. Are you going to rate this on a personal level or on a film in general level, or how are you approaching this particular Cold Stone rating?
It's both for me, I guess. Like,
okay.
each time I watched it, I'm like, yeah, that's a good movie. And that one scene really struck me. And I like Bergman, so I like what it's going for. But it's never going to be the highest rating for me because of its lack of originality. So it's a love it for me.
I'm impressed. For me, it's a very personal movie. For a long time, this was the movie that, like, anytime anybody said, I love Woody Allen, I would be like, oh, do you like Interiors? Because you could make an argument this is his most underrated film. It gets fully lost in the shuffle. This movie is at the heart of Woody Allen's height, and yet most people don't even know it exists. I probably have a certain affection built in because of that. I think that at this point, my reverence for it has been somewhat worn away. This movie meant so much to me and my high school friends. It would have been a Gotta Have It a while ago, but I think it gets downgraded to love it. I have absorbed a lot of Woody Allen's self-criticisms about it and a lot of the things that people point to as being a little cheap or slapdash or whatever it is. But this movie is a very noble experiment that is a great movie. And this is a movie that I would show to a lot of people.
You showed it to me.
I showed it to you. It's a love it.
I think it's important to be able to let films drift down, even if you deeply loved them when you were younger. I think you gotta sometimes let things go, just as the characters have to do in this movie.
That's a great point. There was a time when I would have probably ranked this above Annie Hall for me, where I would have been like, oh, Interiors is maybe my favorite Woody Allen movie. And I've seen it a million times. But yeah, in the cold light of morning, after my mom walks into the sea, I have to acknowledge the reality of my new mother. That is Annie Hall.
I don't know if that metaphor works that well.
No.
Wait. One thing before I go. Have you heard that Death Cab for Cutie song?
Oh my God, no. This is honestly one of the most annoying fucking things when I look at the Wikipedia article for this movie and I'm like, oh my God, this inspired a Death Cab song? Jesus. That might be a big part of what makes it degrade from a gotta have it to a love it for me.
Wait, do you not like Death Cab for Cutie?
I honestly don't know that much Death Cab for Cutie. What I do know of it, I'm not super into.
I was a big Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, really? Did you know this song?
No, I didn't know the song.
I just think of them as being like Seth Cohen from the OC's favorite band.
I like did a project in high school once where it was a photojournalism project, and I played a Death Cab for Cutie song in the background, a series of pictures. I used to listen to them all the time, so I was a big fan. Let's play a clip of the song. The song is called Death of an Interior Decorator.
You were the mother of 3 girls so sweet. The storm through your turnstile and climbed to the street. But after conception, your body lay cold and withered through autumn, and you found yourself old. Can you tell me why you have been so? He took a lover on a faraway beach.
Wow, I feel like I get Death Cab now. That song totally needed to exist.
Why are you such a hater? It's funny that this song is just actually about interiors. It's written to Eve.
The movie is just pretty emo.
Yeah.
So, I get that it works as an inspiration for that song, but I thought that was a pretty weak song.
No, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a great song, but I don't hate that they made it. It's pretty meta that Woody Allen made Interiors because he loves Bergman so much that he wanted to do his own version. And Death Cab for Cutie must have loved Interiors so much that they wanted to make an Interiors song.
Yeah, it's that thing with bands where they make a song that's about a movie. Springsteen had that song Badlands. That's just the movie Badlands. It's cool to think about you having watched a movie that I like. But those never really inspire my favorite songs. Badlands, I guess, is a pretty good song.
Yeah. But I don't hate that it exists. I don't think it's lame that it exists, but
No.
I agree that they're usually not the best quality songs in the end.
Well, but it's a little bit of a kind, that song came out in 2003. So this was probably not a movie that a lot of people were talking about in that time. I can attest, actually, to that, having been around back then. This was not a movie that was on many people's lips.
No.
So you can tell it's a kind of Death Cab being like, we have cool taste.
Isn't that what we're doing? With this podcast?
By doing a podcast?
Yeah.
No, we're doing this podcast about a film era.
Yeah, but nobody watches or talks about these films anymore amongst my generation, at least. Honestly, when I tell
fine.
most
I guess
people,
it's the same thing. We're like Death Cab for Cutie.
I just don't think it's that different.
It's a little different. Like they made their own. They're making their own work of art based on it. Do you feel like we're making a work of art?
Do you think that makes it better? That we're not?
I think that when you're a songwriter, you're looking for grist for the mill. Sometimes you draw from your own personal life. Sometimes you draw from, like, there's the thing of where songwriters will write a song about a historical event or something. And then there's the thing where you write a song based on a movie or whatever. And I think it's open to criticism for being a lack of creativity that's beyond Woody Allen's lack of creativity in making the movie.
I think all Death Cab for Cutie songs are typically about something very specific. Like there's that song about the fires in California.
Yeah.
There's songs that are about clear people.
It's a prompt. It's a writing prompt.
Yeah.
Right? And it's fine. It's fine. Look, but I didn't really think that song was very evocative of interiors.
No, it
the mood
clearly, right. In style, no. All the lyrics, it was literally written as like a letter to Eve.
Yeah.
But you're right, the style wasn't the style of interiors.
It did not make me a fan.
It's not that I love that song or anything. I just feel like you think it's very lame that they even made that song in the first place.
I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to point out when artists do that. But no, I don't think it's lame that they made that song. It annoys me that me and Death Cab for Cutie both like this movie a lot. Like
You're just such a Death Cab hater.
A bit, yeah. It's yeah.
You probably wouldn't have liked me when I was in high school.
I'm sure I would have thought you were very nice.
You would have been like Woody Allen's characters in Annie Hall in Manhattan, where you would have looked past my tastes not aligning with yours and just been interested in the fact that you were attracted to me.
Yeah, you're right. I'm so shallow and you were so hot. I mean,
in high school.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we bid farewell to Woody Allen probably for a while.
Yeah.
I think after this 1-2 punch.
Yeah. We probably won't talk about him for a little bit.
We got plenty of other people to get to.
Yes. That's enough. That's enough.
That's enough.
Woody. Yeah.
Hope you people had fun.
That concludes another exciting New Hollywood adventure. Thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to Kale Your Idols on the podcatcher of your choice. Please take the time to leave a rating or review. It is extremely helpful for small podcasts like ours. We'd love to hear from you, so please reach out to us on Instagram or send us an email to kaleyouridols@gmail.com. We actually recently just had a listener send in a message to us on Instagram, and we don't actually get that many messages from listeners, and so it was really nice getting a message. It honestly was very sweet, and
hint.
It totally, so send your messages, all you other listeners. Come on now. It truly makes a big difference because sometimes it feels like we're just shouting to the void and recording these episodes and that maybe the only downloads that we're getting are like bots. Sometimes we don't know if there are actual...
No offense to bots. Bots need their movie podcasts too.
It's really nice to get confirmation that there's actual human beings out there listening to this, aside from immediate loved ones.
Who we barely view as human.
So anyways, yes, seriously, it means so much if you write to us. So please, we truly would love to hear from you.
Forget about just trying to help our podcast by leaving ratings and reviews.
Yeah.
Just on a human level.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Christopher. Thank you for your message.
Yeah.
It truly meant a lot to us.
Definitely.
We also want to say thank you to the Illuminator for our logo and thank you to ourselves for everything else. Please join us next episode where we will continue to celebrate movies made by New Hollywood figures who recently passed away. Next up, we will celebrate the life of Robert Benton, who passed away in 2025. Who's that, you may say? Because that's what I said when I looked up his name. And Sam was like, that's from Ben and Newman. So Sam knew who it was.
Yeah.
But Ben was a writer and director involved in several New Hollywood films, such as Bonnie and Clyde, What's Up, Doc, The Late Show, and the movie that we will be discussing next episode, Kramer versus Kramer, which he wrote and directed.
Hey, Peter Fonda, how did we do?
We blew it.
liquor.